welcome back everybody to my YouTube channel. Now this month's video, I wanted to do something a little bit different. I'm aware that I have a lot of people watch my content that are either looking to get into recruitment or who have just joined the industry. And I do get asked a lot about providing some sort of a day in the life video. So this month, what I've done for you all is I've recorded a chat I had recently with a guy called Jordan, who is completely new to recruitment. He joined at the start of this year. He's doing fantastically well. He's obviously had training from myself. I thought he could give a really good perspective on a day in the life from a trainee point of view. I have a really good chat with him about what he's learned, what it was like for him at the start, and what his job is like now. So any of you guys who are thinking of going into recruitment or are new to it and are curious to see if people are going through the same things as you, I think this will be really, really helpful for you. Hi Jordan, how are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. How are you?
Good. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Just for all the watchers, I have given a bit of an introduction that you're fairly new to recruitment and that you've gone through some amazing training with me, obviously. But do you want to tell people watching a little bit more about you and what area of recruitment you work in at the moment?
Yeah, as you said, I'm brand new into recruitment, started in Feb, and I've come into the engineering team here at my agency. Yeah, starting out is quite, it's a little bit scary. Come from a sales and within insurance background. So yeah, the adaptation was quite different, going from a very fast-paced, if you will, kind of salesy, pushy job to a recruitment job, obviously, where it takes a longer process to get the job completed. It was quite a different change from what I'm used to.
Yeah, so just for anyone watching, you've never done recruitment before, had you? You've done a sales job, but were completely new to recruitment.
Yeah, so on the phones, was something I wasn't exactly shy to pick up the phone, but regarding the process and how recruitment works, it was a lot different than what I'm used to.
It might be what you've just said, but what do you think has been the hardest thing for you to adjust to, kind of transitioning into this type of industry and role?
Again, I'd probably say the adaptation of how long the process can take. I've come from a job where you could pick up the phone and make a sale within one call, and you have this big target each month, and it's KPI driven, drastically. Whereas with recruitment, the adjustment is taking a step back. Things can go wrong at any point, as well as any other sales job. But in this job, it seems there are a lot more obstacles in the way, whether it be obviously another agency, counter offers, just general second thoughts by a candidate. Things can change quite drastically. So yeah, the adjustment period of taking a step back, letting the process take its toll, that was the hardest thing for me, just to get used to. And to start with, it kind of seemed like it was a little bit in a harsh way mundane compared to what I was used to, but you adapt to it, you get used to it, and when it does start picking up, it does feel good. And obviously getting the money rolling in too, so it's always nice.
Yeah. Do you know what? I can totally relate to that, because before I did recruitment, I worked in a call center, insurance sales, and that's what I found weird at the start. Was same as you could have a call, make one or two sales. It was very quick wins, and there were lots of ups and downs, but over a shorter period of time. Whereas in recruitment, we deal with people, lots of things can go wrong that are out of our control. And yeah, like you pointed out, longer time scales. Even if you're doing a contract desk or temp, it compared to when you're selling a product like an insurance product, for example, in a call center, it does take longer. So I'm glad you pointed that out, because for people transitioning from a similar background, you get used to it, but it's just something to consider, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It is a longer process, like you said, and the quick wins always feel good, but obviously when a long-term placement comes in that you've been working on for a good 2, 3, sometimes 4 weeks, it can really take that long. It does. I definitely say it feels better, than just a quick win within insurance, definitely.
A lot of people ask me about, like, what's a typical day? And I will eventually get somebody that's, well into their recruitment role to talk. But actually, I think for people new to recruitment, they're better off initially hearing about a typical day from somebody like yourself that's been in the role for a good few months, that's really getting into the swing of it, that's doing well, but is fairly new, because you can give a really good perspective of what they're going to experience. So what is, if there is such a thing, a typical day like for you at the moment?
So general day to day is each morning I try and plan my day, and as pretty much what's happened the day before. But it's the same way I try and end my day ready to plan tomorrow. But you probably know as well, Kate, that things don't always go to plan, unfortunately. And so my typical day would be working on my business development in the morning, actively looking at the type of roles that we see on things like LinkedIn, Indeed, trying to be reactive with what is updated and recently posted, whether it be from companies or what recruitment agencies are popping a job on for a different company. So yeah, that's generally my first thing to do in the morning. Secondly, then it's to respond to any emails I've given regarding, again, BD. So I generally do about two hours of BD each morning, followed then by my applications. So I generally look at adverts, like who's applied, what they've applied for, are they relevant, do they need a call, etc. And then from there, then generally takes me to, I'd say, about 12 o'clock-ish, maybe about 12:30. I normally go for lunch then at 1. So that half an hour is generally spent then admin, anything that needs, sorting out, if I need to write any prep sheets or documents. And then from the afternoon after lunch then 2 till about 5-ish, I generally just source for any active roles that I'm working, whether it be something that I've been, had in the pipeline for a good few weeks, whether it be something that is a priority as well, which is obviously quite important, making sure that your time management is on point, because if it isn't, your clients are only going to lose faith in you, unfortunately. So yeah, you've just got to plan your day as much as you possibly can. But yeah, generally the afternoons is my downtime to source for who I can and really what I can.
And just for anyone watching, Jordan is what we call a 360 recruiter. So he does business development, trying to bring in his own clients, and then he's resourcing for those jobs, or maybe, other people's jobs in the office, depending on his workload. So there might be people watching where you're only going into a resourcer job, so you won't be doing any business development. So obviously your day might differ because you won't have that BD time. But for anybody that is going into a 360 role, what kind of BD are you doing in the mornings?
So again, like I said, actively looking at the live roles that are posted on things like Indeed, LinkedIn, Read, places like that. And if I find anything on there, I will then look onto LinkedIn Recruiter to try and find out a name, of course, obviously, of potentially like a hiring manager or somebody who can point me in the right direction. And yeah, what my job is to do is to find then the right path to take, whether it be a call, whether it be an email, to get in, first-hand communication with them, drop my name in it. This is what I do. This is what I can bring to your company. Are you interested in doing business? Sometimes you get the immediate yes, and it's obviously, it feels great, but then sometimes it's, we've already got a bunch of consultants and agencies on our books at the moment. We don't need any more, but if we do, obviously we'll be in touch in the future. But it's then my job just to keep filling in the information, giving them pointers on how they can improve.
Very cool. So when you started, so literally, like, say your first month, I know you've just given a really good breakdown of what your day's like now. How was your day different back then?
Back then, my first month was generally just all back end 180 placements. So it was finding and sourcing candidates, speaking to them, just really getting used to the process. My job was to really, just know what to look for from a JD, a job description. Yeah. So, you'll have a tech stack, or you'll have a certain amount of skills that they're looking for from the ideal candidate. So, what I got used to then was things like Boolean searching, looking in the right direction, prioritizing live searches from candidates on places like LinkedIn, where they obviously set their availability to open to work, whether it be from Sourcebreaker, etc. But then we also have a portal called Firefish. So I use then Firefish as a kind of like a last resort, because they're already on our system. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like a ladder process. So you start with one and work your way down just to try and find that right candidate. That was pretty much my first month. I was getting looked over quite a lot, just to make sure I was doing the process right. Never really told what to do in a way either. It was more, you're only going to learn from your own back, which I kind of like as well. They give you the reins, and obviously, if things don't go well, it's your responsibility to then go up to them and say, I don't feel comfortable with this, or it's not working for me. So it definitely does help you advance, because like I said, 3 months in and I'm getting my own clients and having my own 360 placements, things like that, it feels really good.
Good. You mentioned when you were talking about your typical day, and obviously things can change, what kind of things happen in the day that can throw you off course? What have you experienced so far?
Oh, so just for example, I'll just give you Friday, literally just gone, absolute crazy day. So I've already got clients on the books. I'm also some of my colleagues as well with their placements, and I had quite a lot on. And then two of my clients have dropped in and said, I want this and I want this. So two different clients, two different roles, completely different into the spectrum. So it's then kind of drop everything I've got and prioritize these two, but then it's my job to understand which one to prioritize. Yeah, just absolutely crazy. See, it's not just about drop and search for what you can, as Kate would call it, drop and block. But it would be job writing, advertising, making sure that everything is all right for the role, to then start searching for the right candidate as well, putting an email out to my colleagues saying, has anybody got this type of candidate? And things like that. It's not, unfortunate, it's not a half an hour turnaround. They do take generally a couple of hours to do. So writing the adverts, looking for the right person, and yeah, just to do that on two different occasions as well at the drop of a hat, it can change drastically. But then my busy Friday, which was meant to then mean a Monday that was quite chilled out, meant that my Friday was manic, my Monday's manic, going into now my Tuesday, which is also kind of crazy. So one day can affect the whole week, and that's
Kept on your toes a lot, aren't you? Definitely,
yeah,
because you never know. You can come in the day with a plan like you did, but you never know what's going to happen, really, do you? Ever.
100%. Yeah, absolutely right. So it's crazy how, like I said, one drop of the hat, I've got two more roles on with addition to my other five. And it may not seem like there's much if you say you've got 7 roles on at the moment, but to actively source for 7 roles is enough. It is quite difficult. But then to, like I said, look at the applications, job rights, advert rights, seek out help from your colleagues if they've already got somebody, and then to source as well, whilst also writing down notes, potentially writing preps to then send the candidate across for an application process. It's not an easy win, unfortunately, in recruitment. I wish it was, but it is, like I said, it's very rewarding at the end of the day. Just like I said, with insurance, it's a quick win. It's just a product that you sell. When it comes to people, it's slightly different feeling when they call you personally after you've got them a role, and them calling you basically saying, I'm so grateful for what you've done for me.
It's amazing.
You've put my career where I want it to be, and you've helped me immensely. So that feeling really does, it feels quite nice. It's quite a warm feeling. Like I said, it's actually like helping people in a way, is the way I like to think of it.
No, totally. That's exactly how I used to feel, definitely. So what has been the main things that have helped you adjust? Because getting a new job, any of us know getting a new job is difficult, whether it's even if it's still in the same industry, but having that change, what helped you adjust to being in the recruitment industry and being a recruitment consultant?
It's quite hard to say. It took time, is more than anything, I'd say. It took me a lot of time just to, like I said, adjust from the fact that I went from quick wins to slow wins, but also just generally the workplace that I'm in at the moment. They're so, I'd say, giving in a way. They're more than happy just to put an arm over your shoulder and say, look, whatever you need, I've got you, kind of thing. And it's really nice to know, coming from a company, like I said, where quick wins are important, KPIs are important, and if you don't get them, it's potential that some people, some of my old colleagues would go on like performance management, and it's just it's kind of like you're always with a knife to your throat kind of thing, is the way it feels. Yeah, it is. It's very stressful. But yeah, coming into a place where they're more than welcoming for you, they're more than happy, like I said, just to help you out whenever you need it. And I think that really did help me. I'm forever grateful for the way that I've been welcomed into this company. But yeah, time is what I'd say. As soon as you start to get to know the process, what you need to do, because at the start it is a lot to take on. It's not easy, but yeah, just to have that time to implement your pattern of working, I think is quite important.
Yeah. So time, and obviously, I suppose some of it is making sure you pick the right agency to go into, because you've picked one, luckily, that offers great support, great training, just has a lovely culture. I think that's what anybody thinking of going into recruitment needs to bear in mind, is when you're looking at what agencies to work for, do your due diligence. I can't even say that word. I'm not even going to try. Do your research. And look into the companies you're working for, because they need to be a good fit. You need to make sure they value learning and development and training, because that's what you need essentially. And obviously that's what's helped Jordan as well, is having that support. So for you then, what do you enjoy the most about being a recruitment consultant?
I just probably say that, not only the freedom of working, it's quite a more relaxed and feels like a little bit more of a stable job. But I'd probably just say like the nice warm feeling of, I know it sounds quite soppy and quite cheesy, but it's quite a warm feeling when you get that placement, when you get that call saying, oh, thank you very much. That's what I really like. That's when you've done your job correctly. It feels like you are helping people in a way, whilst also making money, which is what it's all about at the end of the day. So obviously we're both happy once the placement has been made. I'd say that's definitely the thing that I do enjoy the most.
Super rewarding, isn't it? So what is a mistake that you've made during your first kind of 3, 4, 5 months that you feel others could benefit from knowing and avoiding? So something you've really learned from?
I'd probably say, not being afraid to throw in a towel when it comes to a role. So for example, you could be working a role for months upon end and not get, anywhere, and it stresses you out. I'd probably say maybe, 3 to 4 weeks. For the first week and a half, 2 weeks, you should be, prioritizing it, focusing on it. If it is a good role, then you should be able to search for that longer time. If it's quite a unique role, obviously maybe distance the time that you work on it. But don't be afraid after the 3rd or 4th week when you're not getting anywhere with it. Just say, you know what, it's not the type of role that I can fill, unfortunately. And it's not down to your fault. It's down to, potential of it's not the right candidate on the market at the right time. You might find the right candidates, but, potentially the pay isn't as good as it is, or they're just really happy in their company. And it doesn't mean you're a bad recruiter at all, but it just means that once you throw in that towel, like I said, it's not you quitting, it's more you taking a step back and saying, okay, let's refresh, let's go back to where we were, let's pick up a new job and let's go again. That I think obviously is really important, because I was about 8 to 10 weeks in, and I really did think, I'm struggling with this. Now, obviously, yes, it's great that, I made placements in my first, I think it was 5 weeks, I made placements. From that 5th week to the 10th week, I was struggling because I couldn't make or get any groundwork on these, roles that I was working. So just to then drop them and think, okay, now let's go back to the drawing board. Where do we go again? It was quite refreshing and quite nice to know that I could do that. And it, like I said, it reiterates to what I was saying earlier on about being from a slightly pushy sales job to a more relaxed and settled role, if you will. It's nice to know that you can just drop something and think, okay, maybe that role wasn't right for me, or maybe it wasn't the right time to work that role. And I think that's quite important for newcomers in recruitment, or even somebody who's got short amount of experience like myself, who hasn't really learned that lesson yet.
Yeah, I remember and I can't remember, somebody I've trained before said to me like, what, you don't fill all the jobs that you work? And it's like, no. And I remember having that kind of viewpoint when I started in recruitment, thinking, yeah, I can fill all these jobs. These are all great jobs to work. And especially when you start picking up your own clients, you get such a buzz about getting somebody to say, yes, I'll work with you, which is hard. You almost want to fill it, but sometimes it's just not a great job. Or like you said, there's not the right candidates available, or the salary's not strong enough. And yeah, it is nice when you realize I've done everything I can. There's nothing else I can do. Park it and move on to something else.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't be afraid to speak out to your line manager, or to the account manager of the client if you're brand new. Don't be afraid just to say, I can't do any more with this. I've tried everything. And yes, they'll probably question it. They'll ask you, have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done this? And as long as you can prove it, the likelihood is they're just going to say, okay, that's fine. Let's get you something new, or all right, let's focus on something else.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the way to be. I think that's when you've got the right type of agency, that they're not hammering down on you in a way that they make you feel bad. They look at it as a positive. You've done your job correctly, you've done everything you can, and that's what's important. This
is a question that I've been asked by a few people recently, and I thought you'd be good to answer it because you're obviously in the thick of an agency. What apps, software, websites, equipment, what kind of techie stuff do you use that you would recommend to other recruiters or new recruiters that really helps you in your job?
So I specifically use this application called Lusher. There's also others out there, Hunter, Rocket Reach, things like that. We use it in the office all the time, literally on an hourly basis, let alone a daily basis, where you would, go onto LinkedIn Recruiter, whichever it is, look for the relevant person. When it comes to the company, I generally look for hiring managers, CTOs, head ofs, things like that. And on Lusher, you can then search for their work email, work number. It gives you a massive advantage because you know then that, generally 9 times out of 10, you get the right information.
Yeah. Yeah, I've
know,
mentioned those before on another video, and obviously a lot of us that started in recruitment a long time ago, we didn't have things like that to access details. So it's brilliant for business development. You mentioned Sourcebreaker earlier. Do you want to explain what that is and the benefit of it to anybody, again, new to recruitment that might not know what that is?
Yeah, of course. So Sourcebreaker is it's essentially like an app, a software. I don't know if you want to call it, maybe a website even, but it's like a CV stripper. It is pretty much what it is. You search throughout a CV, and I think it searches through Read and job site. So of course, obviously, it's searching through 2 places at once. The Boolean searching, you haven't got to create a Boolean. You just type in maybe a type of role, or for me, if I was looking for a product engineer, I'd search for product. I then search separately for engineer. You can combine them. You can keep them separate. You can then put in, the skills, the tech stack, whatever it could be, as an addition to the Boolean, and it creates it for you. But it doesn't just search that one name. It searches how it's set up as well. So it might search for English spellings, American English spelling, and this application has come from people who used to be in recruitment. So they know how frustrating it can be just to constantly keep Boolean searching when things don't go right. So with that in mind, like I said, just to know that you can, for me, I'm working at actually an IT role now for the first time, and .NET is one of the things. And I didn't think of just to search anything but .NET. They've got on their net, .dot net, which obviously, I would never think to search for that. And, some people's CVs, it comes up because they want them to know exactly what it is, rather than looking like potentially a spelling mistake, to the blind eye. So yeah, it's an absolute godsend. It's perfect for recruitment. I can't recommend it enough.
Thank you so much, Jordan, for sharing all your insights about the job, tips, advice. I think anybody looking to get into recruitment or anyone new into the role will find it really, really helpful and useful. So thank you. If you want to connect with Jordan, guys, he's on LinkedIn, surname Oten. So get connecting with him. Okay, so that is my interview and chat with Jordan. So I'm hoping that for any of you that are looking to get into recruitment or have recently started in the role, that's given you some answers really on what to expect, what a day might look like, just some tips and advice. Because I know for a lot of people, going into any role, let alone recruitment, it's all the unknown. So it can help us feel a bit more at ease if we've heard from somebody that is going into or experiencing a similar position. So I'm hoping that you will find that really helpful. I would love for anybody that's watched this video and that has found it useful to obviously subscribe to my channel, but actually to connect with me on LinkedIn as well. I literally live on LinkedIn and I share lots of content on my LinkedIn profiles, both my solo and my business. So definitely send me a connection request. I always accept, and I'm always there and happy to help if you need any advice or support. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys, and I will see you next month.